Well, the 16 days of activism of no violence against women and children started yesterday. We are now joined via Zoom by Thandiwe McCloy. She is the communications manager at the People Opposing Women Abuse. That's POWA. A very warm welcome to you, and thank you as always for availing yourself to SABC News, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Once again, we commemorate 16 days of activism against GBV that launched yesterday. For POWA as an organization, what is your strategy this time around to get the message across to perpetrators of GBV and the victims, of course, out there?
With POWA, this year, the 16 days of activism, we partnered with Unilever tea brand Joko to run the Donate Your Voice campaign. So what this campaign involves is DJs, presenters, and celebrities sharing the stories of abuse, whether it's verbal abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, that various gender-based violence survivors have been through on ENCA, Metro, and Radio 2000. Mm-hmm. And then also on the Joko website, there are videos of former Miss South Africa Ntando Kunene and the actress Romilda van Rensburg reading the poems of gender-based violence survivors. So through this campaign, we are trying to show that there are real stories and real pain behind the gender-based violence statistics that we so often hear. And it is the hope that through this campaign, through seeing the huge impact that the high prevalence of gender-based violence in our country is having on women's lives, will hopefully encourage and inspire action to make a difference to the scourge in our country.
Yeah, it's very strange. Every time this time of the year approaches, there's always another, a huge case that we're all talking about when it comes to, the murder of women or other GBV cases, which shocks us and perhaps sometimes even more gory than the last. This year, for example, we've all been talking about a Soweto man whose current girlfriend found body parts of his ex-girlfriend in a deep freezer, and one wonders, if the past campaigns that we've had and continue to have when it comes to GBV awareness are indeed helping. When every year we're basically going back to these sort of stories, and as I say, it seems as though it's almost like it gets worse. When we come back to these kind of stories. Not long ago we were talking about Uyinene. Time before that we were talking about a young Diepkloof girl who whose boyfriend killed her in a hotel and went and burnt her and so forth. I mean, it's just endless the kind of stories that we hear, and also around this time when we're talking about these issues.
Yeah, and we must also remember, sure, it's important for the government and NGOs to bring out campaigns. Those are very important, but we must remember that the fight against gender-based violence lies with us all. We can all take action against the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide in our country in various ways. Yeah. So there is this sort of attitude that people have if they hear the husband beating up his girlfriend, the next door neighbor. If they hear a boyfriend beating up his girlfriend, they think, oh no, I shouldn't get involved. It's none of my business. It's important people say, oh no, I will take action. I will do something about it. And by calling the police. So if you are ever in a situation where you witness or you hear a man being abusive towards his partner, it's important that rather than turning away, you first you intervene. If the situation is too dangerous, you should call the police on 0800 428 428. And another way society can work to address the scourge of gender-based violence is by ensuring that their children are not raised in violent homes, so that their children do not go on to believe that either being abused is normal or abusing someone else is normal. And we can also all take action by reducing drinking. There's a definite correlation between alcohol abuse and gender-based violence, where we're finding that heavy and frequent drinking by males, who are mostly the perpetrators of gender-based violence, does increase the risk of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And we also need to find more effective ways of dealing with conflict other than violence. So we live in a very, very violent country where people think violence is the way to resolve conflict, and it's not. So we just need to look at the ways that we deal with conflict in our homes, in our workplaces, and so on.
Yeah, I've heard you, in fact, raising the issue that, there's the issue of resources. That's also quite a problem. And I suppose you're talking particularly when it comes to organizations like POWA, that there aren't enough resources that are indeed needed to support victims. On the back of that, you talk to me about that you're involving celebrities in some of your campaigns, and I don't know if celebrities are working for free. So I wonder, are these celebrities working pro bono to highlight the scourge of GBV? The reason I ask that is, shouldn't those resources then be rather utilized towards helping those the survivors and people, in fact, that are struggling with issues related to GBV?
Yeah. Well, I can't really say around the payment of the celebrities, but what I can say is that there definitely needs to be more resources geared towards gender-based violence survivors. We definitely need more shelters across the country. Shelters tend to be in big cities. There tend to be very few in smaller towns. There needs to be more resources going towards skills development opportunities for survivors so they can generate an income. Many women end up staying in abusive relationships because they are financially dependent on the abuser, and they find it difficult to leave because then they'll say, oh no, but what am I going to eat? What are my children going to eat? Where are we going to stay? So it's very, very important that we get more skills development opportunities so that women can generate income and break out of abusive situations. There also needs to be a greater move to build housing for gender-based violence survivors so that they are able to move out of abusive situations easier.
All right, Thandiwe, thank you so very much for giving us your time, and certainly we'll be chatting with you, I suppose, in the days after as well, the 16 days, to see how it all went. Thank you very much for giving us your time then.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Most welcome. That's Thandiwe McCloy, who is the communications manager at POWA, as of course. So we've just entered the 16 days of activism against women abuse, gender-based violence.